Imagine having more time in your day, not because you worked less, but because your business ran smoother. In today's episode, we're going to talk about real estate systems that free up your time so you stop drowning in tasks and start focusing on what really helps your business grow. So if you're tired of being busy and not productive, then this episode is for you.
Let's free up our time, baby.
Nice.
Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things real estate, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success. I'm your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside the wonderful, amazing Casey Tudor and the brilliant Brooke Massey. If you guys like today's content, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. We appreciate you just being here and listen to us yap.
Click the bell. Ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for an excellent intro to the both of you.
I thought it was beautiful.
Today, we're going to talk about working smarter and not harder. And there's a story that I have that comes to mind. And this is probably something that my mentor should have taught me years ago.
I would agree with you on
Yeah.
that.
I didn't learn this until about year 4. And it's really just not taking the time to dive into learning that system as well as I could have. And long story short, I used to map out all my showings manually with my GPS system and figure out how far apart they are, which order they go in. And this would take me a lot of time. And then I'd print out all these flyers and write all the times on there. And we're talking to go show 10 hours. I'm working for at least 2 hours or so doing this.
That's how I did it, which is why probably how you did it.
Chris,
you know?
like, this is how you do it. this is the best and most efficient way you could ever do it.
Let me show you how to map out your showings.
Right. So then I just learned you can just literally click a button and it maps it for you and tells you how far apart they are. And, now here we go. But I love showing that one to people because they're like, whoa, this is awesome.
It is awesome
Yeah.
because
And
in
you
all
think, like-
fairness, you taught that to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know until you showed. I was like, I'm so sorry, man.
That's right. That's
I had
hilarious.
no idea. But that's pretty funny. Well, it really is a great story that is leading into what we're talking about today, obviously, is freeing up our time through real estate systems. So we want to talk about automating the busy work. That's going to be the first thing. Organizing and scheduling all of your tasks. And essentially what this is delegation and hiring an administrator, an assistant to do all of those, the non-money making activities.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about streamlining your processes from contract to close. That's as simple as just hiring a transaction coordinator. And that, to me, that's easier than the first one because you can find really good transaction coordinators that won't charge you until the closing, right?
Yeah.
So you don't
Nice.
have to put them on payroll. You don't have to, even pay them, on a biweekly schedule or anything like that. No taxes, none of that stuff. You can just get them paid on a commission basis at closing. And you can find some good coordinators to do that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about leveraging systems and your CRM to automate processes for you as well. And that's going to be your technology and everything that you do to set up automation. And you can have a lot of this stuff run on autopilot. But the key is you still have to have an active role in those automation processes because technology changes, tasks change.
Yes.
And, a lot of people, I think, fall into the trap of like either I'm supposed to set it and forget it and then I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't run the way that they want to all the time. Or they just don't even do it at all because they know it's going to be a constant, like, workflow that they
Or they
have
have
to implement.
Control issues and not let go of the control.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say, like, when you're thinking about this, before you start thinking about the systems that you go into, a really good book, Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, he talks about Dr. Oz. Everyone knows him. He has a TV show. He's like #1 heart surgeon. He does like, I forget what the book says, like 600 open heart surgeries every year. Like, he's an impeccable human being. And it's like, how does he do all of this stuff? And so he talks about you have to find your top 3 priorities of your business, meaning what are the top 3 things that you that requires you yourself to run your business in order for your business to grow and thrive and succeed. And so that's really, really important because like number one that everyone should be at, you should be the face. If you're the real estate agent, you're the face, you're the person on the phone, you're the one talking to clients. Everything else, you just need to automate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree.
You're responsible for the growth of your business and all of the little tasks that are involved. You can hire out. In fact, I always, like to use the example, and I don't remember what book I got this from. It's probably in multiple books because I think this is a very common thing that people teach is figure out how much you're worth. Well, how much do you make on a per hour basis? And I think that even people that figure that out, like let's say that you look at how much money that you made in the last 12 months, and if you could figure out, and if you could really pin down how many hours of work that you had to put into making that money, to do a simple division problem, figure out how much money you make per hour.
And if it's $10, you got a problem.
Yeah. But if you're making $300, $400, $500 an hour, and there are tasks that you can hire out for minimum wage, then why are you doing the minimum wage tasks?
Right.
Well,
and it's hard for people to accept that because even if they know what their value is, there's always that, well, what if I don't perform the same way? Or, how do I, we don't get paid on a per hour basis. We get paid on results. And so it's dependent on getting those same results. But I can assure you that if you start hiring some of these things out, you're going to actually be worth more per hour.
Oh. It's a volume thing. I was thinking whenever you talk about the transaction coordinator, it's funny because I was thinking in my head, could you imagine being a coordinator that gets hired by an agent who can't ever close a deal? So that's not efficient either, right? But the idea is that you have like dozens and dozens of deals, and of course, 3 or 4 of them are going to fall through, and you're not going to make any money. But it doesn't matter because you make up for it on the other ones.
Well, and on that, we just did a training in our brokerage about building a downline or building a team. And I showed a couple of videos from Formula One race car driving.
Oh, it was impeccable.
Well, it showed like the process of how they did pit stops in the 1950s. And then I showed the video of the 50s. I showed a video of the early 2000s. And then I showed a video from 2023 and how everything changed. In the 1950s, in a pit stop, you could only have a total of 4 people working on the car, and that included the driver being in the seat. Okay, and so it took them like over a minute to do a pit stop in the 50s, and that was considered a good pit stop, right?
Sure.
Well, then they started allowing more people to work on the cars, and so you fast forward to the early 2000s. And they were getting it done. Pit stops were getting done in 8-9 seconds, and that was like, man, that's
crazy.
That's a great. That's like a
90% increase.
That's a huge increase. But then I showed the world record pit stop, and it was less than 2 seconds.
That was it, done.
It might have been just over 2 seconds. Don't quote me on that. But the world record, they pulled over, changed all 4 tires, okay, refueled in 2 seconds. Either it was around 2 seconds, okay? I mean, he was in and out. And the only way you could possibly do something like that is if you had a pit crew where every single task, somebody specialized in it.
Yes.
1.8 seconds, Red Bull Racing.
There you go, 1.8 seconds. Thank you. So there was a person that was dedicated to one of the wheels bolts coming off. To that same wheel, there was another person dedicated to pulling the wheel off. Mm-hmm. There was another person that their job was to put the wheel on, right? Not one person did 2 jobs.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even see how that's possible.
Right. I don't either. But it goes to show that when you hire people, that's all they do.
Right.
Well,
like who do you think is going to be better? A simple task as pulling a wheel off, okay? There's going to be friction that's created like if you don't pull it off the right way, right? Mm-hmm. So would you want someone in your pit crew where that's all they do and they just off, like they can pull it off so fast, or someone that doesn't do it as much. It's simple pulling it off. You would think it would be quick, but
Right.
that's the point I'm making is like, especially with the TC talk, they look at contracts all day.
That's right.
Every day.
Way more than you could possibly do in
Even
one
if
day.
you're the top seller in your
If you did
markets
100 million,
in volume.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
But-
I mean, it depends on the TC if they're busy enough.
my
right?
TC I know does
way
like
more.
a lot of transactions every single day.
Every single
so
day.
Not,
So-
and not just mine.
So it's like you could be, but you want to find a TC that specializes in those things.
Yes.
And the same thing is true. Like if you're gonna find someone, let's talk about our first point today of delegation and hiring out an
Yes.
administrator. Let's just talk about follow up. Right, and just getting your follow up in order, or just the tasks that go with, setting up smart plans and things like that, which can kind of tie into your CRMs. But
It's like the number one thing that people fall behind on is follow-ups.
like
and
all of just
fortune is in the follow-up.
and all of the tasks that go into having an effective follow up and staying
Oh,
top
gosh.
of mind is
Yeah.
another one. Right, just reaching out to people.
Yep.
You have someone where like that's all they do, and you hire that out. It's going to be so much more. And if you can afford it, like, to the Formula One racing pit stop thing, imagine if you hired people and like literally that, like they just did this one task, right?
Yeah.
And then you had another person and they just did the top of mind follow up. And then someone else, like, now that's like taking it really far, but I think if you were able to take it that far, it would be a lot more profitable.
Right.
Yeah, or just somebody to help organize all your tasks within your CRM, which we'll talk about later. But like just helping organize your tasks, because like, and that's what I'm working on right now with my assistant. Really, she's my closing specialist. But I was like, I need more admin help because I'll get into my CRM and I'll have 50 tasks, and sometimes they're like not really calling people. They're just like random tasks, but they're so important. Like set this person up on a home search. They came through your website. This person, they haven't talked. You just need to send a quick message. And so having somebody like that to come in and just help organize that, because sometimes those 50 tasks, I'm sitting there for like an hour just going through them.
Sure.
You know what is I was thinking in that too, is like just something as simple as someone that will organize your calendar.
Yes,
Or
that's what she does too.
Add in appointments for you. Like if when you have someone where you can just say, oh, I want to meet this day and this time. Hey, can you put that on my calendar? Now you don't have to be the one to go in and do it.
Yes.
You could consider. I mean, almost everybody listening to this and watching probably knows how to put an appointment on their calendar.
Yep.
But those are some of the things that we're talking about when it comes to giving up, some control on the things that you're doing so that you can be more efficient with the money making.
Yeah, you can kind of look at it like Mad Men. If you guys have ever watched that show, it's like you've got all these high level executives in these ad companies, and they're sitting in their office, even like just hanging out, drinking scotch and smoking cigarettes while they're planning or whatever they're doing. And then their assistant sits outside the door, and she walks in. She's like, "Your 2 o'clock's here. Hey, your 3 o'clock canceled."
Yeah.
Or he calls her in. He goes, "Cancel my day. I'm going to this." And
Yeah.
he's not texting or calling of course he wasn't texting, but he's not calling the 10 people he had appointments with. They're doing it, and then he's out the door doing
Yeah.
what he needed to do.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
a very like visual representation of what we're
I think
talking about.
going back to the control thing, because I think a lot of our viewers are going to have that issue, right? I think too.
I know,
it's
I
like,
did.
Well, because like I've had clients where I've talked to and they're like good friends of mine, and I've evolved. I'm not just by myself anymore. I have Jennifer with me. I have Trish with me. I have my TC. So there's a lot of people involved, and I've had people like my clients say, "I don't want you to pass me off to anybody." And it's like, I'm not passing you off to anybody, but I think it's how you portray yourself to your clients and make yourself look like a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, I have a team. This is Trish. This is her job. I'm still here, but she's here to help, keep the transaction going.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, setting good clear expectations with your clients, but then also knowing that like, sometimes you're going to have clients, they're just going to come straight to you, and that's okay. Just handle it and then pass it off again,
But to that point, I mean, you're speaking to the choir in that for me anyways, because that is something that I battle on a daily basis.
Yeah.
and I'll even say even with my own family.
Oh yeah.
Because the role that I have with what we do, I've had family members that have said, like, we own a real estate brokerage, okay? And they have said to me, "Oh, I just didn't know if you still sold houses anymore."
Yeah.
Like, and so, they didn't know if it was something that if they were looking to sell or buy that they should still reach out and call me.
Oh yeah, no,
And-
just call our competitor. That would
Yeah,
be...
right. And I'm like, so to me, it's common sense. Like, that's what our whole company, that's what we do. Right.
Bottom line,
we have a
this is it.
team of people that are going to help you. And I've made it, and even setting the expectations with some of my family members just here recently, I try to match the whoever the client is with an agent that's going to match their personality, that's going to give them a good work ethic, that's going to communicate and do a good job. Well, I had somebody that handled a family member transaction, and they had only sold one house before, ever. And when it all was said and done, and this individual will tell you, he never would have been able to navigate the transaction that transpired if there wasn't support in the back end
Right.
and
Yes.
someone to call every single day and to really be over everything. And we made it look so good that my family thought that this was a top producer, like someone who had been doing this for so long. They're like, man, he did such a good job, like to the point where it's like they thought that it was all him. They didn't think I was involved at all, which I don't know how I feel about that. But I think it goes to
It's
show
part of running
to
a business, though, too.
the systems that we have in place. It made the transaction seamless.
Yeah.
And but I do think that there is something to be said about making sure expectations are set, that that you give off the perception of, and not even a perception, the reality is, no, I'm still your realtor.
Yeah.
Right.
It's me running the show.
You always call me.
Yeah, but my value has increased so much that I wouldn't be able to take care of your specific needs the way that I am if I didn't have a team of people doing some of the day-to-day.
Yeah. I do a lot of real estate transactions and need all the help.
You're not my only one, and if you have an agent, not that it's a terrible thing, because everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you have an agent that is available at your beck and call and can drop everything when you need them, then you don't have a busy agent.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say the exact same thing, and then I just lost my train of thought because the door slammed. But a lot of people they want you to be able to drop whatever you're doing, and then what I want to say is like, you're not my only client, or it's like it's a good thing you're not my only client because we're not getting anywhere on this deal.
Yeah.
And it's just, and it can be super frustrating because again, do you want your agent for them to be their only deal?
Yeah.
Like that's a bad sign.
Right. Yeah. And I think you can say those things in a strategic way.
Right.
Like, hey, listen, I know that you want me available every time that you need it when you need it. But if an agent is able to do that, then they're not producing at a high level.
Right.
That means that they're only working with you most likely. And so what kind of experience do they have to navigate all the things that can come with real estate?
Yeah.
I have another family member that I'm working with, and the deal was pretty much packaged, put together, and gifted to me, right? And in their eyes, it was, well, all you're doing is filling in blanks to a contract.
Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing to this. So like, the commission shouldn't be that much, right?
Right.
Well, he has learned very quickly how many things come up in a transaction, even one that in his mind, well, you didn't have to do any showings, you didn't have to negotiate the deal, which those are also a big part of the what we
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But still,
But what people don't realize is getting something under contract
is easy.
is 50% of the deal. getting it from contract to close is the other 50%. And
I always use that line.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
like, especially for subway owners, I'm like, I can get you a buyer. That's the easy part. I was like, getting from contract to close, I was like, that's the real battle sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was talking to my client last night, and I said, "Hey, man, you realize that it was a good conversation. I was like, you realize this is the 4th time I've negotiated your house to get under contract?" He's like, I know, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this may be a record because it's just like contingency falls out. It's just all contingency related right now. And, I'm an expert in that because I've been through it before.
Yeah.
Clearly you're not. You do better.
Yeah.
4 times.
Well, no, I got to put that on the
Sometimes
other
it
age,
happens.
man.
Yeah. Hire me, I'll get it done in 1.
Yeah, that's right. Dude, I wish, man.
I have one. We're on our
wish.
3rd one, and we're almost to. I just need someone to sign the inspection report, not the inspection, the TRR, and then we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, you think
Until an
just
appraisal
happens
requirement
sometimes.
comes
Yeah,
back, or
that's
it comes
right.
in low, or something,
or they're not
So-
recognized by the
lender-
IRS, which
right?
just happened
like
to a
the
client
lender
of
finds
mine.
something.
So you're really like 90% to get it to contract, and then now the other 50%. So you're working a lot.
Yeah. Thankfully,
Well, no, if
these
that's,
clients
if that's
are.
50% of it. Imagine what it's going to be like to finally get it to the closing table.
Well, we did. We had it the day before closing. Everything was
That's
done.
where you show up
Yeah.
with a drink on the closing table.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But thankfully, these sellers are actually really great.
That's true.
Yes.
That's
they're,
true.
They're awesome.
Okay, so we're delegating, getting organized. We're hiring out for our, TCs and
Admin.
admin and all those tasks. And again, the control thing is going to be an issue. And if you struggle with control over the transaction, and I get it to an extent
yeah, me
because
too.
I think a lot of people. I think the reason is they think customer service.
Yeah.
And they don't want the customer service to fall to the wayside because someone's not going to do it the way they do it.
Well, right ass, right seat as well.
Correct. So
Beep.
you got
It's a book title. I can say it.
Yeah. Well, you got it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If it's in a book, it's
That's
clearly
right. Or it's in a book.
acceptable.
Traction.
Very acceptable. But I don't even know where I was going with it. But hire the right people for the job. And
Oh, you're
talking
talking
about
about you're worried that they're
Giving
going
them
to let the
control.
quality down.
the control, and customer service. Like I challenge you, and Brooke kind of already said this. Start with just one transaction, and I challenge you to do nothing on it,
Yeah.
and let them, tell them, as long as you know
You
that
can watch
what the
them.
processes are, and
CC me on all emails.
yes,
Right?
and I'll even go as far as saying this: when you are working a transaction, do you ever make a mistake, or are you perfect?
Oh, I mess it up all the time.
We all make mistakes.
I mean, I don't
Right?
ever make mistakes.
I know you don't, but this is for everyone else.
That's
JC.
right.
Yeah, we're perfect.
yeah,
Team dynamics
yeah.
over here is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking to everyone else, but you two.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You
you for
guys,
clarifying.
you guys can ignore this part.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll just have our own
So
moment.
everyone else that makes a mistake, we need to recognize that we all started somewhere. We all had to learn. We all had to learn how to map out our showing,
Yep.
right? You need to allow your administrators and your TCs the same grace to learn.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
They're going to make mistakes, and it doesn't mean that they're no good. Now, if they make the same mistake over and over and over again, it's time to find someone else.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But just because something doesn't go according to plan doesn't you can. I feel like you can salvage any mistake with most clients.
Oh, yeah.
right? Especially if you own it. And if they make the mistake, own it as that was your mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
You
Yep.
hired them. It's my fault, and people respect that. And you say, here's how it's supposed to go. Here's what happened. It's my fault. I didn't do X, Y, Z.
Just come with a solution.
Here's a solution. Here's our options. And let's move forward. It's not going to have an impact, and maybe it did have an impact. Maybe it delayed something. Maybe it costs money. I don't know.
Yeah.
If it costs them money,
Well,
maybe you
that's part
come
of
out
it.
of pocket. To save the relationship or whatever you got to do. Just do whatever you got to do. Right.
Yep.
And so, anyways, allow people to make mistakes. You got to give up the control, and if you struggle with that, start with one deal at a time.
Yeah.
Going into CRMs next, that that's a whole nother ball game, because I
There's a
feel
lot
like
to it. Yeah.
so many people, they're like, I don't want to send out an email and it's wrong, and it's like,
Yeah, or I don't want to send out to my whole network and people I haven't talked to in years. Or what if it's somebody that's like, I talked to them, 10 years ago or something.
yeah.
Then it's
So
like,
what?
who cares? Yeah.
So what? They can unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then guess what? They're filtering the CRM for you. They're
Yeah.
getting out of your way so you can find the clients that actually do want to work with you.
Exactly. And stop worrying about who is going to see the message, and just get the message out.
Make the message good. No, you don't have anything to worry about.
Right.
I think people CRMs are they're just a giant super animal, and people just get overwhelmed in general
intimidating.
because of what it is. And it's like, I just tell all agents, I'm like, just start simple with a CRM. Use it for organization, because that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
And if you have lots of things to organize, that's where your admin comes into play to kind of help you with that. And then, because like everybody, I swear every agent's like, I want all these smart plans, and then they don't use their CRM because they don't know how smart plans work.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just got to work your way up. If you understand how to organize everything, then you're going to be able to make smart plans, which those smart plans, they're not always sending out stuff to clients. Sometimes it's to help you automate your stuff and make sure your follow-ups are there, where an admin doesn't even have to do it. And I always just say, start small. Start with something that helps keep you organized. And then as you go, add something else, add another smart plan. Just keep going that way.
Wait until tomorrow.
No.
There's always tomorrow.
And don't dump all your clients in there, and then, because you'll never organize them. Just start fresh, and just start simple with it.
Yes, even if you start with one person and set up a smart plan and have it go. But then next time, get a couple people in there, and then keep adding people to it. Get used to using it, how it works, what the responses feel like and look like, the notifications that you get, because you might not like that, and you need to go in and adjust how you get notifications, or how it's sent, what it looks like, the graphics that you're using. It's intimidating. It's a lot.
I will say too,
but you got to start somewhere.
Right.
I don't think you can necessarily hire out someone to like set up your CRM for you.
Not if you want it in the way that you.
Yeah, because
really
everyone
want it.
works
Yeah.
a little bit differently. Someone can do the basics, but you really do need to understand it and understand your business and how it works.
And then hire someone to manage it.
Yeah, 100%. How you have it.
Yeah.
I think a good place to start with the CRM, and I'm still working on this, but is a weekly email, because you need to push out some kind of message once a week.
I think I would do that before I started Smart Plans.
I think so too, because it's going to be the same message to everyone. And so if you do dump everyone in your CRM, at least you have a message that you're sending out to everyone. And why I like this is because you really have to start learning the industry and like, what is my message as a realtor?
Yeah.
How am I different than everyone else? Well, that's what my weekly email is about. You know, what I'm going to stay top of mind, and I'm going to update you on the market, and it's going to be my take on the market.
It could be your little sports section because you like sports or
Yeah.
something.
and what's happening in OKC, you know?
I would
Yeah.
recommend setting yourself up on the smart plans that you're using too.
Yes.
I'm on our smart plan that we did for our commission tracking software, and then periodically I'll get an email or a text or something,
Yes.
and I'm like, whoa, oh, this is cool. Like, what a great
Yeah.
reminder. And and so now you get to experience what other people are experiencing when they get the same thing from you.
I
Yeah.
think that is the best golden advice, because it's so true. Because I did that. Like, I got really frustrated with the automatic signing thing. And I was like, why do people not understand
Yeah.
this? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a text replacement so I don't have to type it out every time. Text replacement. So whenever I go send a contract or a listing agreement, I'm going to explain the steps to them.
Yeah.
So I just wrote a contract for myself when I was newer, and then put myself on it and sent it to myself to
sign
sign.
it. Yeah.
And then just went through what they went through, and now I was like, oh, this makes more sense.
Yeah, set yourself up
Clients
on
still
the
mess it up,
systems
though, just so you
oh,
know.
for sure.
Oh, I know.
but now you can navigate and walk them through how to fix it or where it went wrong.
You know what I really want to do is implement. Jennifer and I have been talking about it a lot, about implementing different videos into our automated systems.
Yeah,
so
would be
like
great.
instead of having a text replacement, I have a quick video say, hey, okay, I just sent you the contract.
Yeah.
This is what I want you to do. Click the blue button, click start signing. So I think that'll go a
That
long
would be
way.
super valuable, I think.
A
Super,
lot
super
of people
valuable.
have been talking about it at the
Yeah.
different conferences and stuff I've been going to.
I mean, I just think video in general. I mean, we talked about that with like going on listing presentations, and then after you go on the listing presentation, follow up with a video.
Yeah.
You know, and just continue to get your face in front of people is in the best way possible.
It's like we're in 2025, technology, video, AI is all a thing.
Separate yourself.
So
from the
might as well
competition.
separate yourself. People are going towards that, and the video with your face and your tone and energy is going to go a long way, and you're going to make a stronger relationship with your clients after that.
100%. Systems, use them, automate yourself,
Agreed.
delegate.
Yeah.
Is that our recap then?
I don't know.
I think it's a great recap. I mean, just,
Thank you.
I mean, just those
just
three
kidding,
things.
yeah.
Like, I mean, honestly, just delegate, get an admin, then get a TC.
Use your system.
Yeah,
One thing
use
at a
your
time, though.
system.
Just chill out.
Yeah,
One thing at a time.
just figure out how to call a FSBO when it expired first, or figure out an open house, and then once you get really good at that, then start adding some of these things. I think TC. I think everyone should have a transaction coordinator from day one, but just focus on those and just start simple. Think about your top priorities of you as a business, and go sell more houses.
Right. Yeah, and I think my example of the hiring a photographer instead of doing it yourself is just like it's like a silly, like no-brainer one. Like, of course you're going to do that, right? That just makes so much sense. You wouldn't take photos of the house yourself.
Yeah.
You hire out someone that's better.
Yeah.
Same with everything else.
Do that with everything.
Yep.
Do that
Agreed.
with everything. And and again, to test yourself, if you really want to try to get comfortable with giving up the control, then you got to test it on something that you don't want to give control up. Because if you already pictures, if you already feel like, oh, I'm good with hiring out pictures, well, then you're not building character and trying to lose control, because you're good with that. You got to do it on something, like a transaction coordinator. Just do it on a deal to really test your ability to give up control and to not think about it.
Right.
Because if you can get into a position where you just don't think about it, like when I do a transaction and I pass it off, I trust my TC so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think about the deal anymore, other than the customer service
And
I'm
negotiation
providing
points.
and the stuff that I am responsible for.
I agree.
I love it.
Okay, guys. Well, hey, we're here. We're at the end. It's over. Sayonara. See you later.
If you're still with us, thank you much.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, click the bell. Let us know if you guys have any thoughts on today's episode. And here we are, signing off. Casey Tudor, Curtis Haddock, and Brooke
Massive!